Hello and welcome to Chesapeake Weekly. Well, it's Hurricane Preparedness Week, so hurricane season is just 1 month away and forecasters are saying this could be an above average year. Granted, long-range forecasts like that essentially mean nothing because it only takes one storm to devastate our area. It's also important to remember that hurricane strengths are largely based on wind, but the real concern for us here in Chesapeake is flooding. In fact, you might remember Hurricane Matthew from back in 2016. Well, when Hurricane Matthew hit our area, it wasn't even a hurricane anymore, not even a tropical storm. But that storm still caused major damage in several sections of the city because of the amount of rain and flooding. In fact, most of the households that were damaged by flooding were outside of the FEMA flood zone, which meant many of them did not have flood insurance. So while we keep an eye on hurricane seasonal forecasts for storm strength and all of that, it's important to remember that our major concern here in Chesapeake is flooding, and that anywhere it can rain, it can flood. Which brings me back to it being Hurricane Preparedness Week. It's no coincidence that this week is exactly 30 days before hurricane season officially begins. Flood insurance takes 30 days to go into effect. So now is the time to take a look at your coverage. If you don't have flood insurance, but you live anywhere in Chesapeake, you should seriously consider getting it. Homeowner and rental insurance does not cover flooding, so you have to get a separate policy, which depending on where you live can actually be quite cheap. We're talking a few $100s a year. You can learn more about flood insurance by talking to your insurance agent or by visiting floodsmart.gov. Well, hurricanes are certainly a force to be reckoned with, but a more positive force, but just as strong, are our teachers. So it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and Chesapeake Public Schools did a great job honoring several incredible educators at the State of the Schools event last week. Now, this was the first in-person State of the Schools event that they've had since before the pandemic, so it was a packed house and a very welcome get-together. One of the teachers honored was Oscar Smith High School's English as a Second Language teacher, Holly Sawyer.
Today in class we were exploring the language of problem solving through coding a robotic car through some basic tasks.
Holly Sawyer, an English as a Second Language teacher at Oscar Smith High School, uses robotics and coding to introduce her students to directional language, cause and effect, the language of competition, and advice language.
Good job! We created guides of advice-giving language. One side was how do you ask for help, and another was how do you provide help using that same language. So it might be, what's your recommendation?
Why vamos a aplicar a strategy, una estrategia that can help you in all of your classes with this kind of question.
Coding creates these, well, it's just rife with problems.
So the problems is no different than the humans. So the robot is, and they make the directions.
How many inches do you think?
It's a human, not robot. So they made the computer, so they connected the cable and the process.
I think that my student Rudy touched on it, is that when you have a human interacting with a computer, the errors tend to come from the human side because there's such a precision needed when it comes to coding. It's a hard task. The problems just abound. So also becoming comfortable with encountering a problem, asking for help, and working together with peer programming, with this collaborative work to use that language to solve those problems. That's the real goal.
Those goals are being achieved thanks to the $1,400 Chesapeake Educational Foundation Instructional Innovations Grant awarded to Ms. Sawyer last year to purchase the robots.
Being an ESL teacher is like the culmination of almost all of my passions. Like I love the students, I love people.
It's clear her students love her too.
She is so smart and no sé cómo decir esa palabra, pero muy amorosa.
Being bilingual is the goal, but being bilingual is also, it's a process. And it's a beautiful process.
And of course, we can't talk about incredible teachers without once again congratulating our statewide winner for Best Teacher of the Year, Daphne Fulson.
Principals always tell the truth, unless they have a really good reason to keep a secret. Heather Brusso, principal of Portlock Primary, had a big secret to keep from one of her second grade classes.
We actually said that we had done such a good job with our PBIS that we were going to go ahead and do our PBIS video demonstrating good cafeteria behavior and how to be in an assembly.
When they got there, a much bigger surprise was in store for them.
Because we're not here to talk about PBIS. We're here to celebrate your amazing teacher. So let's give your teacher a hand. Her teacher, Ms. Daphne Colson, has been selected as the Region 2 Teacher of the Year.
I am speechless. I don't know what to say. I want to scream and jump and dance and just, I want to pinch myself to see if this is real. I'm beyond excited.
Special guests from the school board, Virginia Department of Education, and the governor's office were all on hand to celebrate Daphne.
This is a little letter from my boss, Governor Ralph Northam.
But the best surprise came in the form of heartfelt messages from some of her former students.
I want to say that Miss Wilson is a superhero to all of us. She's my teacher and my best friend. Thank you for being who you are.
Ms. Folson actually credits a lot of who she is as an educator to her very own second grade teacher.
Her name is Miss Towns. Miss Towns, if you're out there, I love you so much. You're going to make me cry. You really are. My dad was in the military, did 27 years of the Navy. I love you, Dad. But because of that, we moved a lot. And I remember going into this teacher's classroom in the second grade, and I had been to so many schools already. And the first thing she said, she goes, "You got everything you need?" She asked me if I was happy. She asked me if I was safe. And she just asked all of the human questions. And I said, at 7 years old, I swear, I said, "I want to be just like you." She just made me feel like I could do anything, and that she genuinely cared how I was.
Today, those lessons and values are very much alive in Daphne's classroom. Along with learning about gravity and sequencing, students learn every day that they are valued and important.
She has a mirror right there in the front doorway. That was the first thing I saw when I walked in her room, and it has positive affirmations all around it. And to see them walk in every morning and walk out and have to say something positive about themselves.
You are pretty. You are so helpful. You are so kind.
I really appreciate the fact that she's building them up as people.
I just couldn't have done it if I didn't have people pouring into my cup, which is why I'm always trying to pour into other people's cups. So just thank you. I love you all. Thank you so much, kiddos. Y'all are amazing.
Thank you to all of our teachers who have done such an amazing thing for our kids, especially over the past few years. Now, another incredible and award-winning educator was in Chesapeake last week at the latest edition of the Chesapeake Forum. Dr. Freeman Rabowski is president of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. He was named one of the top 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine, and his list of honors and achievements runs long. We were able to catch up with him before the event to learn more about him, his life as an educator, and his thoughts on the challenges facing our society today.
One of the biggest challenges is that large numbers of children of all races cannot read well. Literally, the 40 to 50% of children graduating from high school around the country have reading deficiencies. And I'm speaking as a math professor. The fact is that if you can't read, you can't do STEM, or you can't do basic things. And we have a big challenge to have our society focused on academic achievement. There is a gap between children from homes where someone has had an education, gone to college, and those who have not. And we want to see all of our children living up to their fullest potential. People don't realize that so many of the jobs available in our society have some STEM foundation. Whether we're talking about public health and medicine and nursing and all the healthcare areas and all of what we've been through with COVID, to talking about protecting our country and what we see as we protect the democracy. We need people with computing skills. We need people in biology and chemistry. We need people in engineering as we think about the infrastructure in our country. And I would say, but we also need people in the humanities and social sciences. We need both. It's the genius of the and rather than the tyranny of the or. I didn't make that up, but it's a good saying. I was very privileged to have parents who allowed me to listen to Dr. King in church talk about wanting the children of Birmingham to express their concern about the quality of education and to be involved in a peaceful protest. And so at age 12, I did march with the Children's Crusade and Dr. King, and I spent a week in jail.
The final speaker in the 2022 Chesapeake Forum series will be the one and only Joan London. She'll be at the Chesapeake Conference Center on June 7th. Tickets are on sale now, and you can learn more at thechesapeakeforum.org. Well, if you've driven over the Great Bridge lately, you've likely looked over to the east to see the beautiful Great Bridge Battlefield and Waterways History Museum, but have you looked west? Because there's a new, beautiful art installation lining the canal on the lock side, featuring the official city bird.
They're made in a mold system, almost like you would a boat hull. So, yeah, it's shot fiberglass, and then we put two halves together, and you get the whole form. The city came to me with the idea because they were looking at something similar to what Norfolk had with the mermaids, and also another way to bring in money to a charity. And this actually goes to help improve the waterways right here in Chesapeake.
All right, ready? Here we go. All right. It was successful.
We're a nonprofit and we work to promote waterway tourism on the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway. And we have an initiative called Go Chesapeake. And that initiative specifically promotes Chesapeake as a waterway destination to the 10,000 boats that come through our city every year.
And we're thrilled to have this be a part of this park and make it be something that people will want to stop, get out, enjoy their time in Chesapeake instead of just passing through and wondering where they were. So we're trying to create some unique, fun reasons for people to stop and stay and enjoy.
Wow, such beautiful pieces and really a great addition to our waterfront right there. Now, one thing that can certainly ruin the looks of our stunning landscapes here in Chesapeake is, of course, litter. And the #1 most littered item is cigarette butts. According to research done by Keep America Beautiful, many of the same people who would never consider littering a can or a piece of paper just don't think the same about cigarette butts, and they litter them anyway. But the truth is, cigarette butts are incredibly harmful to the environment. They do not biodegrade, and they contain toxic chemicals. So if you must smoke, please do so responsibly and keep your butts out of the environment. The Chesapeake Environmental Improvement Council will be at City Hall during the month of May with their Big Butts campaign. So if you're looking for more information, that's a great place to start. You can also visit our friends at askhrgreen.org. And finally, a heads up about the latest phone scam. The Chesapeake Police Department is reporting that citizens have received phone calls coming from their non-emergency line, which is 382-6161. So the recording advises that there's a warrant or a subpoena out for the citizen's arrest, and it asks them to call back using a different phone number. Now, the Chesapeake Police Department does not contact citizens to collect money to avoid arrest or detention. Please don't fall for these scams. If you receive a scam or you fall for one, definitely hang up and call the police non-emergency line. Remember, that's 382-6161. If anybody calls you claiming that they're from the Chesapeake Police Department and you think something's up, just give them a call and they'll look into it for you. Well, that's all we've got for this week. We leave you now with a look at what Parks and Rec has going on. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week.